Hey fight fans, welcome to MMA Daily, your go-to source for the latest news, fight analyses, and exclusive interviews in mixed martial arts. Hit subscribe and join us as we step into the cage together. Starting off, pros react after Khamzat Chimaev stops Robert Whittaker at UFC 308. Moving on, Dana White shuts down Ilia Topuria's talk of challenging Islam Makhachev at lightweight. Lastly, Daniel Cormier believes the PFL's recent event is proof the UFC has no competition. Today's UFC 308 event was co-headlined by a highly anticipated middleweight showdown between Khamzat Chimaev and Robert Whittaker. Khamzat was returning to action for the first time since scoring a majority decision win over Kamaru Usman 1 year ago at UFC 294. Prior to earning that razor-thin victory, Khamzat was coming off a first-round stoppage victory over Kevin Holland at UFC 279. Meanwhile, Robert Whittaker had entered today's contest on a 2-fight winning streak, his latest being a first-round knockout victory over Ikram Aliskerov at June's event in Saudi Arabia. Prior to that win, Robert had outpointed Paulo Costa in an absolute thriller at UFC 298. Tonight's UFC 308 co-main event resulted in a dominant showing from Khamzat. The undefeated contender was able to take Robert Whittaker to the ground in the early seconds of the fight and proceeded to smother and overwhelm the former champion on the canvas. Eventually, Khamzat locked in a choke, which apparently dislocated the jaw of Robert. Whittaker quickly tapped out, and now Khamzat is right in the title picture at 185 pounds. Check out how the pros reacted to Chimaev versus Whittaker below. Dominant victory, congrats. I admit it, I was wrong about Khamzat. Dana White give him the next title shot. Wow, what a performance, Khamzat. $1 million a week, damn. The rich get richer, yup, my antitrust. UFC President Dana White doesn't want to see Ilia Topuria versus Islam Makhachev just yet. Ahead of the contest, both featherweights have teased a move to lightweight. For his part, Ilia has continuously teased a fight against Islam Makhachev. As of now, the Russian is expected to face Arman Tsarukyan in a rematch in January at UFC 311. Makhachev previously defeated the Armenian contender by unanimous decision in 2017. For what it's worth, the lightweight champion has also shown interest in facing Ilia in the past. However, one thing is for sure, the fight won't be happening anytime soon. Speaking in a recent interview, Dana White was asked about a potential Ilia versus Makhachev bout. There, the promoter shot down the idea. While Ilia believes that a lightweight bout against Islam Makhachev makes sense, Dana White disagrees. In the UFC president's eyes, it's far too soon for the featherweight to move up, especially considering his bout against Max Holloway is his first title defense. This is his first title defense, Before we start talking about guys moving up to other weight classes, I love when they clear out the division. When you look at Max Holloway, when he moved up, he had wiped out the entire division. He was the best 145-pounder, then Volkanovski did the same. There's plenty of challenges for him at 145 pounds. UFC commentator Daniel Cormier believes the PFL's recent event shows a lack of competition. Last Saturday night in Saudi Arabia, the Don Davis-led company held their biggest show to date. In the main event, former UFC champion Francis Ngannou competed for the first time since 2022 to face Renan Ferreira. Meanwhile, the co-main event featured the legendary Chris Cyborg facing PFL tournament winner Larissa Pacheco. Overall, the event was received positively on social media. Francis Ngannou scored a first-round knockout win over Renan Ferreira in the headliner. The co-main event saw the Brazilians go to war for 25 minutes, with Cyborg earning a unanimous decision victory. However, UFC commentator Daniel Cormier wasn't very impressed. Speaking on a recent edition of his Good Guy, Bad Guy podcast with Chael Sonnen, Daniel reacted to the PFL pay-per-view event. There, Cormier remarked that the show was proof that the UFC doesn't really have any competition in regards to MMA promotions. It's competition, but is it really competition though? The World Wrestling Entertainment and All Elite Wrestling has some sort of competition. The World Championship Wrestling, when they were there, was competition to the World Wrestling Entertainment. Conor McGregor spoke on this last weekend on social media. The UFC has no competitors. I felt like, even though we were watching the biggest star outside the UFC, it was never more clear to me that there really is no competition. Is it good that the UFC doesn't have a competitor that can really push them? Thanks for tuning in to MMA Daily. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more daily MMA content. Until next time, keep fighting the good fight.